Hello and welcome to Podjunction Podcast, a show where podcasters learn to grow their business. My name is Sadaf and beside me is the magnificent Matt Edmondson. And today we are in part 2 of our 4-part series with Jaryd Krause, who is the podcast host of Buying Online Businesses. And in this particular episode, you're going to learn 2 things. One, how to what?
I don't. It's your writing. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
This is professional. How to be, I think, is probably there. How to be consistent with your podcast.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
The high professionalism. I just want everybody to know. I'm going to show people this. So,
it's a good thing I'm
the
producer.
Video, this is Sadaf's notes for the. In fact, if I put it on this, and I can't put it. Yeah, I can put it on this camera here. You see, that is Sadaf's notes, which she quickly scribbled.
Which is now why you understand I get so confused in this.
Yeah, let me just put that back. Which Sadaf quickly scribbled.
Okay.
Before the start of the show. And of course, if you're listening to the audio, you just didn't see what I just held up the whiteboard to the camera. And so how to consistent with your podcast.
I've got it. I remembered now. Okay. How to stay consistent with your podcast to build a loyal audience.
Okay, good.
Yeah, got it.
It's not what it says on the whiteboard. No. But that's okay.
Hopefully that's what he's talking about. No.
People say to me all the time, don't you have to be like really slick and professional to do a podcast? I'm like, have you never watched or listened to Podjunction? And we're an agency that helps people build their own podcast. That's what we do. That's how we make money. And so, yeah. No, you don't have to be slick to run your own podcast. You do have to be, I think that's the British way, is the ability to make fun of ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
or
going
sit
back
next to somebody who's going to make fun of you. Yeah.
Yes. Learn to take a joke.
Yeah.
All right. So part 2. No. Second thing that you're going to learn is the importance of sticking to your niche and building a loyal audience.
I just don't understand why that's funny.
Okay. Sticking to your niche. That's it. All right. Let's get on with this before I make another mistake.
Another one. Let's get on with this before she gets something right. Oh, brilliant. Jaryd, listen, if you're listening to the show,
sorry, Jaryd.
I'm really apologize for Sadaf butchering the whole thing. But yes, basically, hopefully the conversation with Jaryd. Now, let's get into this because the video, I just saw a preview clip. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, obviously you don't get to see the video, and that's entirely fine. Most people listen to the audio version. So this will pass you by. But if you've ever watched the show, when we do the interview with a guest and we show it on the video, we show you on one side and Jaryd on the other, split screen. But in this particular clip, you were obviously playing around with some features on Riverside.
I was.
When she used to record the podcast. The video's not quite come out how it normally does. And so...
But it's fun.
It's fun. It's just a feature of... So if you want to see what else Riverside can do besides put 2 people side by side... You're going to find out in this clip as Sadaf is interviewing Jaryd, but playing around with different feature sets on the exports.
Yes.
And so enjoy the clip if you're watching it. If you're listening to it, it will make no difference whatsoever because all you can hear is the audio. The audio comes through fine. But yes, so this is what we call episode 40, perhaps our most experimental episode yet. Anyway, I'm going to play this clip and then we'll be back to Conversation Street. Don't go anywhere.
You've been releasing episodes consistently for almost 5 years now. Yeah, how do you manage to keep up that consistency?
I'm a consistent person. Now, I would say that's mostly a habit. And a drive that has been instilled into me from my parents. Okay. So I'm not sure if that's, I can talk about motivation and inspiration and how to build out a dream and a vision and stay congruent with it and keep your drive alive. But I'm not sure if that's, what you want me to dig into. I can if you like, but yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess the easiest way to say it is if somebody wants something bad enough, they'll do it. And to want something bad, it's not easy to just click your fingers and just say, I want something bad enough, right? Typically, you need to build a really strong reasoning why. So why do you want those certain results in your business? Why do you want a certain income level in your business? Why do you want to achieve these certain things? Once you've got a really strong why around that and you can envision you living that life of that person that's achieved that, continue focusing on that vision. And that's going to allow you to just not be digging into like motivation, like, short-term pieces of content, say on YouTube or, Instagram and stuff like that can fuel you for like half an hour, an hour. It's going to still instill within you inspiration, which comes from within to give you that drive to continue pushing forwards and creating those episodes. What I also like to do as a bit of a hack is I love traveling and I love not having to be on the phone for many months at a time. And so I typically have 2 to 3 months of podcasts pre-recorded, edited and scheduled in to know that when I'm a massive surf fan. I love surfing. And when the swell comes in or a surf event comes in, I can just go, cool, I'm going for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month to go travel around the world and not have to work. And that content's already pre-recorded.
So what challenges did you face then in maintaining a regular podcast schedule?
I think the hardest parts were at times if I didn't have enough podcast episodes recorded, making sure that the ones that needed to go out straight away were edited fast. That was a challenge. Although I had I've got a really good team that can do that as well. Another thing is having good guests. And I guess two things is one, just having good guests. Another one is not just having guests on just to have guests on, just to create content, which also spills into staying in your lane and keeping your podcast within the domain of what you're talking about. I don't keep my podcast about an everything podcast. My podcast is about buying online businesses, selling online businesses and growing them, and the full cycle that evolves from buying, growing, selling, and then getting into it again. And for example, if somebody has a podcast that they're going to release on improving your relationship, I would keep it in that domain. Because people listen to a certain podcast for just one certain thing typically, and they stay and they come back for that one certain thing. If I'm listening to a property investing podcast and they start talking about, if they start talking about netball or if they start talking about investing in stocks, I'm gone, So keep it within your domain. Even if you sometimes people slowly go too far away from it. I guess reel it back in.
If that got you curious and you want to catch the full episode, be sure to subscribe to the show. We've got plenty more great conversations coming up. It's fine.
Welcome back. Thanks, Jaryd. I just love the fact he was sat in this really cool looking bedroom with the funky lighting and the brick wall, if you were watching the video there. And you got to actually see that because of the way you'd exported that clip.
Yes. You're welcome.
So, thank you. Oh, great. So how to stay consistent with your podcast. I loved his answer. I'm just a consistent person. That's my mum and dad drumming that into me ever since I was young. And then he talks about how, well, I can just clear off for 3 weeks and go surfing.
Yeah.
He's consistent at that as well. And I it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you talk to people who are quite task focused and they are very disciplined type people, they have that they have the ability to do that. It's very easy to say, or to be consistent. But if you're in the slightest way chaotic, I'm laughing at myself here, it can actually be quite tricky to do that. I suffer from, if you don't know this, I suffer from shiny object syndrome. It's a very real disease. And it's been very, very complicated in my life. And shiny object syndrome, basically, if I see something else over there that is shinier and better, then I want to go there. And so it's why are you laughing at me? This is a problem.
I know.
Yeah, I have experienced this on multiple levels, Mr. Edmonds. And so I think consistency is one of those things where it's consistent, it's got to be consistent. But actually, for some people, it's really quite tricky.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard or easy?
Depends what it is. I can be very consistent in some things, and other things not so much. But I think it's about like how much you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like how much you want it, and that's what drives that consistency for me.
Yeah, I heard this phrase years ago: "Pursuit is proof of desire." And I think quite often, though, I think we tend to avoid things that causes pain, which is why we don't like going to the gym. Because it's a long-term reward, but it's a short run. There's a discomfort to this. Maybe pain's a wrong word. Discomfort might be a better word.
Yeah.
It's why we don't like losing weight, because there's a discomfort. You have to change certain habits, which means you've got to get out of your comfort zone. That's the whole definition, isn't it? There's going to be discomfort.
Yeah.
And I think playing a musical instrument is a classic one. Zoe, my daughter, said to me last night, she goes, "Oh, I wish I'd never given up on the guitar." I'm like, "Mind the guitar? There's a piano sat in there. Get practicing that piano." And she just went, "Yeah, I probably should." But I think to get good at something, you've got to go through this phase where you're bad.
Yeah.
And actually, if I think about Zoe playing her instrument, she was bad in front of people because we could hear her. I mean, the piano, praise the Lord, we could put headphones on. But when Josh was learning the cello and starting out on the guitar, you heard that, right? And there's this thing, isn't there? When you are trying to learn a new skill, it takes consistency, but you have to be willing to consistently put yourself in a place that's not comfortable. Sometimes that can be in a public arena, whether people can hear or see or hear what's going on. So with podcasting, there is this problem, which is why 95% of people drop out by episode 20 of their podcast. I mean, it's some horrendously high stat, right? And I think this comes down to discomfort and not willing to be uncomfortable in a public situation for fear of looking a little bit foolish.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to go through that. I don't necessarily think you will look foolish, but I think you've got to go through the feeling of that to come out the other side, and you then get consistent at it, which means you then start to perfect your craft and you become better at it. Agree or disagree?
I totally agree.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me anyway, I definitely am in that place where I feel like a real imposter when it comes to hosting a podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I think I've done enough to kind of get a feel for it now.
Yeah.
And now it's the point where I need to find my own voice and my own rhythm and all of that. And I'm definitely there, but I'm feeling very much like an imposter. Like that's just how I feel right now. But I know again, going back to consistency, it's just one of those things I have to keep going through in order to get to the other side.
Do you think you'll always have that imposter syndrome?
I sure hope not. No, I don't think I will. Like, I've over the last 5 years of you watching you be a host and talking to other people who've been hosting and talking about their early days and what that was like for them and where they're at now. I know that's a process.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this is an interesting one, isn't it? Let's dig into this a little bit. So this is episode 40.
40, yeah.
We should probably celebrate something. I don't know. There you go. So it's episode 40 of this podcast. You've been on all 40 episodes. And actually, I can't remember what the first episode was like, but it used to be that I would do most of the talking and I would do most of the introductory stuff. And I was saying to you, you should probably start doing the introduction. Yeah, no, I'll do the next one. I'll do the next one. And now you're doing the introduction. So do you feel like you thought, because it's an interesting one, isn't it? 40 episodes in, and you still produce a lot of shows, but this one you're actually in front of the camera on.
Yeah.
Do you feel less of an imposter now, or is it still as bad?
Well, it's interesting because with this particular one where we're co-hosting, it's different because I can kind of rely on you to carry me. So a lot of those episodes where I was like, no, you do it. It's because I had that option. But where it's just me and the guest, I feel like that's where I'm still.
So like when you're interviewing people like Jaryd, right?
Yeah.
Because I suppose if we're on episode 40, you've maybe done what, 6 or 7 interviews?
Yeah, maybe a bit more than that now.
Maybe
but
so,
yeah,
right.
just it's under 10 still for Podjunction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually that's a craft you're still, which is in some respects is interesting, isn't it? Because you do all the pre-calls for like EP, you talk to all the guests. For Push, you talk to all the guests. So it's not that you're not used to talking to people, but actually that conversation now is coming out. That's the one that's being recorded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. So does it still feel awkward when you do it?
At times, yeah. I think it also, for me, it depends on the guest as well. Because I think some people are just so used to doing it.
Yeah.
And, you kind of click with them and it's easier and it's okay to make the mistakes too. I mean, that's something else I'm learning. It's fine if I'm fumbling over my questions. That's okay.
Or your whiteboard.
Yes.
I
mean, 40 in, I should have been good at that. But, I think it's Matt's influence on that.
That's my fault. To be fair, this is only like I don't know, we've not been using the whiteboard long. It's not like you've been doing that for 40 episodes.
That's true.
That was a recent stroke of genius. But that's really interesting, isn't it, when it comes to doing the interview? So how do you get over that awkwardness? How do you stay consistent doing it?
I think
because you have to push through, right?
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about this. On what day is it? Wednesday, Monday. I was thinking a lot about this, and I think because I was in the place where we're like, do I keep doing this or do I tell Matt I don't because this doesn't feel right anymore? But I think the key is to just keep pushing through. I think that's what we tell people. That's what you've experienced when I say that. And I think that would be my experience too.
Yeah, very good. There are days, and I have those.
Do you still
days.
Get it?
Oh, gee, I don't know if I get the imposter syndrome when I'm talking to the guest necessarily, because in my head I'm just having a conversation with the bloke down at the pub, kind of a thing. Although we're obviously not in the pub, but that's kind of my approach to it. I suppose I'm always amazed that when I look at, say, listener stats, that they're going up. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting. People would actually want to listen to this. Of course, they'd want to listen to it. The content's good, but you're kind of like, oh, this is interesting. I think, but there are days where you just go, I cannot be bothered, and I can't give you a solid reason as to why that is. I can't. Maybe I just didn't have the right nutrition the day before. I don't know. There are just some days where you just go, I can't be bothered. But because it's in the diary, you've got to
show up.
You've got to show up, right? And that's most of the battle, is just showing up. And actually, when I do that, not all the time, but most of the time, those conversations end up being really good. And so, I think it's a really interesting problem to have. And I how you get through those first 20 episodes and stay consistent and do them. So I've never added up how many podcasts I've been on now.
How many episodes
recorded.
you've done, you mean?
Yeah. There's hundreds on EP. There's however many on Push. There's the 40 here. There's all the other podcasts I've been on. Then there's the crowd stuff. I mean, I just don't know. Yeah. Right? It could be upwards of 1,000. I've never really counted. What I can tell you is 8 times out of 10, I'm feeling great. 2 times out of 10, I just need to show up and get my head around it. But I think consistency wins. And so doing what you need to do to be consistent at it. And can I shout out the Podjunction services here?
Yeah, of course you can.
Is that all right?
Absolutely, you can.
Sadaf's little side hustle going on with Podjunction. No. But I think, not to toot our own horn a little bit, but one of the reasons for Podjunction is we do the first 20 episodes with you. Because I think you just need somebody alongside you to go, you're doing great, answer your questions, you tweak this and you'll feel better, or this will help you. And that kind of coach alongside you for those 20 episodes, I think by the time you hit episode 20, gives you that kind of confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what it would have been like doing the interviews that you've been doing without that kind of coaching.
Yeah.
Right? So as bad as that imposter syndrome is now, it can be an awful lot worse. And so you can see why people drop out because they've not got that that sort of person alongside you. And I think Podjunction do that very well. So you guys,
thank you.
You do a good job with that. Is that you kicking something?
Yes, sorry.
As long as you're not kicking me, that's the main thing. So stay consistent with your podcast. The next one.
Wait, before we move on to the next one, can I just go back to something that Jaryd said about that particular point was finding your why and why that, that is so important. And then once you understand that why, you can keep working towards your goals. And I think that's actually a really good way to work. I think, you were saying earlier that you're not a consistent person, and I'm a lot of people struggle with consistency, especially in things like you were saying, working out or something where there's some kind of pain involved. And sometimes things like this can be painful. So like understanding what your why is and keeping pushing towards that is, I think, helpful.
Yeah. I think,
why are you doing it?
Yeah. That's a really good point, a really valid point. And if you've not read the book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, I suggest you do. It's that whole kind of thing, isn't it? I mean, it's an obvious thing to say, but you've got to have a clear purpose. Yeah. You've got to know what that purpose is. And you've got to be willing to work through the discomfort to get there. Yeah. And the why has got to be bigger than the discomfort. Yeah. Otherwise you don't do it. Yeah. Right. And so, reminding yourself of that, I think is a really powerful point. Well said. Well said. Well said, Jaryd. Love that. Anything that uses find your why, I'm a big fan of. I just really like Simon Sinek stuff. Simon, if you ever want to come on the podcast, man, let us know. We'd love to have you. Should we move on to the next one? Yeah. I'm asking you now.
Okay. Yeah, you should move on to the next one.
And I can't really read what it says because some of it's erased and you got left half of it off.
Basically, he was saying stay in your own lane, in your own domain, because if you want a loyal audience, they need to know what they're coming for, what to expect. Yeah. And if you're not staying in your own lane, you are, you're potentially confusing your listeners and alienating some of them as well, because, they're showing up for one thing when you're talking about something else. Yeah,
that's so true. I remember having an audit of my YouTube channel done. Adrian, I say having an audit. I did a course by Adrian Salisbury, who's a great guy. And if you want to learn about YouTube, go check out Adrian's stuff. He's a cool guy. And Adrian looked at my channel and he went, Matt, I don't know what this channel's about, dude. He said, at one point you're talking about e-commerce, then you've got a vlog, then you're talking about how to do Photoshop, and then you're doing, it's like, what? I'm just like, well, welcome to my brain, man. This is just what's
all the tabs open.
Yeah, all the tabs open. And he was quite right. It's like, well, people are just going to get, he said, not only will viewers get confused, but actually YouTube is confused as what your channel's about. So they don't know what videos to show to what people. So he said, you've got a video over here, which is a review of an e-bike that I rode. He says, it's got tens of thousands of views, did super well. But then the next week you've got this vlog thing going on and YouTube's just going like, I don't know what's going on. And I think Instagram's the same. All the social media channels, if you're trying to post everything about everything, you never really reach anybody. The channels you see doing super well, they have a really clear, defined purpose, and so the algorithms, the bots know what it's all about, but more importantly, the people connecting with it know what it's about. And they know what to expect. And so I love what he said. What was it? He said, if your podcast starts talking about netball, I'm unsubscribing. Unless it's a netball podcast, I suppose. But it's true. I mean, if we just sat here and said, well, let's talk about the Paralympics because that's just finished. Is it finishing today or yesterday? I don't know. It's finishing sometime soon. Well, that's not what we're here for. And as much as I have a good opinion about Paralympics, and I'm sure that I do, I'm sure that it's valid, I'm sure I could probably make it interesting, but that's not why people have come, right? And so if we don't talk about podcasting and helping people grow their business with podcasting, did I get your tagline right?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. But if we don't do that, people are off, right? And so we hopefully do it in a light-hearted, entertaining way. Obviously, we don't take ourselves too seriously. But I think he's so right. You've got to stick with your niche. And this comes back again to, I think, what you said earlier, understanding your why. What's the purpose in what you're doing? And then to stick to that niche. I tried doing content years ago where I don't know if you know this, actually. I would put a voice recorder in the car, and I got a lavalier mic, and I would just talk about what was ever on my mind in the way to work. And I'm like, there's a 15-minute drive. I can drive to work. I can record like a 15-minute audio, and that could become a podcast. This was back in years ago when podcasting, we just sort of got started with it. And I recorded all of these things, and thank God I never put them out. One, what a load of drivel. And two, there was no consistent theme with it. I was not sticking in my niche, or my Nikkei.
Nikkei. I like that. That's what it is for now on.
Yeah, the Nikkei. Just think about all the different ways I can pronounce word niche. My Nikkei. My Nike.
Nikkei. No, I like Nikkei.
Nietzsche. Frederick Nietzsche. We've gone off topic here. Let's stick to the point.
Yeah, stick to the point. Our niche. Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah. So stay in your lane, ladies and gentlemen. Stay in your lane. And
consistently.
Consistently stay in your lane. That's a very, very, very good analogy. But yeah, what's coming up next week then?
Part 3 of Jaryd Krause.
What are we talking about in part 3? Yeah.
I do not know yet. But I will know when it comes to recording.
When it comes to recording, you will have an idea. It's funny this. Every time I ask you, and I know when I ask, because I can look at your notepad and it's empty and I'm going, she hasn't got a clue. You've not got the plan in that far. Although you did the interview.
I did, yeah. It's actually... Do watch the whole interview. There's so much in it, and just trying, like with the segments, trying to find just a few minutes of something that really, encapsulates the whole idea of what he's talking about can sometimes be difficult. But I think listening to the whole episode is really helpful to understand what he's saying. How do you, just a complete aside here, because I wonder if people actually are interested in this. The way we do our podcast is a little bit different, as in we do an interview with a guest. We play the interview with a guest, but we also take the clips, as you've seen and heard today, and then we just ramble on about it for 20 minutes, right? And just, I think, have hope in my head. It's a great conversation to have about it. So it is a little bit different. How do you choose the clips that we play from the full interview? Because I've done some of the interviews. There's so much in them. How do you choose? Well, I think partly every guest that comes on, their story is going to be different, right? So a lot of the principles are the same. Like we talk about consistency a lot, for example. We're consistent about it. We are pretty consistent about that. And so, a lot of those kinds of elements get featured on over and over again. But their story is different, and how they got into that and what drove them to stick to it, that kind of thing, is different. So kind of pulling that person's story in is helpful, I think. But also... I don't want too much of the same content, so everything sounds the same. So for each guest, I'll try and when I'm talking to them, having that conversation, I will try and ask for very different questions to try and get as much content as I can for this. So you kind of set yourself up for success by making sure you ask them, by thinking about the questions you're going to ask them in the interview. Yeah. It's not just a case of recording the interview and then just hoping you can pull 3 things out of it. Okay. Very good to know. We should maybe do a podcast episode one day on how we do the podcast. Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I think it's a really interesting format. I really do. I quite like it as a format. Because one, we don't have to think about the content that we're going to talk about. No. Yeah, you have to think about the questions you ask the guest. Yeah.
So on one hand, we're getting the content from the guests.
Mm-hmm.
2, we're adding our own take on that, which is, I think, is hard to do in an interview.
Yeah.
And 3, it means we get a lot more content. So we in effect get 5 episodes from one interview. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Me likey.
It was your idea.
Was it?
Yeah. It was one of your.
I'm trademarking it.
Yeah.
Copywriting it. If you want to use this idea, you need to apply for a license. Do you think that'll work?
No.
Okay. Let's move on. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this week. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get this from, because obviously we've got more great conversations lined up. There will be links to Jaryd in the show notes, which you can get for free at the website podjunction.com. You can also, they'll also be in your inbox if you subscribe to the newsletter. And of course, if you're like me and think that's all very good, Matt, but you know, and I know, they're also going to be in the show notes on the podcast app that you're using to listen to this podcast, or in the YouTube description, you would be entirely correct. So you don't need to go to the website. You don't need to subscribe to the email list, but we hope that you will. But it's just really funny, isn't it? Just scroll down, go connect with Jaryd, connect with him on LinkedIn or whatever links that we have for him. Go and say, how's it? Even if you just say, hey, Jaryd, really appreciate you being on the show, man. We just got a lot out of it. He would appreciate it. Do reach out to the guests, because guests always enjoy it when you do. Do go and say hello to them. But Sadaf and I will be back next week. Are we recording?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Yeah, so we genuinely are going to be back next week to record some more Podjunction episodes. But that's it from me. Anything else from you?
No.
That's it from Sadaf. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode at Podjunction. If you've enjoyed the insights from this episode and want to hear the full conversation with today's special guest, don't forget to visit podjunction.com, where you'll find more information about how you can join Podjunction cohort. Whether you listened while on the go or in a quiet moment, thank you for letting us be a part of your day. Remember, every episode is a chance to gain insights and to transform your business with podcasting. So keep on tuning in, keep on learning, and until next time, happy podcasting.